I'm Chef Kelly York, and this is Therapeutic Cuisine. I specialize in creating recipes that have medicinal ingredients that target and alleviate various common human health conditions. Today we're going to focus on menopause. Menopause is the cessation of menstruation, and it can happen by either natural causes or surgical. Menopause is associated with varying symptoms such as irritability, mood swings, osteoporosis, weight gain, depression, insomnia, just a general list of things that are very uncomfortable. There's things you can do like hormone replacement therapy, which has side effects and is dangerous on many respects. The first recipe we're going to make is an Adzuki Bean Dip. Adzuki beans are native of Japan. Japanese women eat a lot of fermented soy products. Here in the United States, we eat a lot of soy products that are not fermented. The women in Japan have very little incidence of menopausal symptoms. So one of the key things when you are fighting menopause symptoms is to eat foods that are rich in fermented soy. Some of those things are miso, tamari sauce, tempeh, natto. This recipe is going to feature some of those ingredients. I'm going to get started by placing some Adzuki beans into my food processor. Adzuki beans have a little white string on the side and they look like little red beans. They are very good for boosting your energy levels. They can help you stay full longer and they help with weight loss. So they're wonderful for a menopause recipe. Next, I'm going to add some Greek yogurt, and I always use a plain yogurt, not the kind that has sweet sugar in it or some kind of a color or syrup in it. Next, I'm going to roast a red bell pepper. I often get asked, how do you roast a pepper and what do you do with it? It's very simple, especially if you have a gas range. I happen to live in a house that's all electric, so when I want to do this, I have to go outside and stoke up the barbecue grill. I'm going to take a fork and just stab my red pepper, and I'm going to hold it over the flame. You want to start hearing the blistering occurring, which means that you're going to hear a snap, crackle, and pop, which is the skin that, just like that, is roasting on the outside. You want to blacken it. The skin can turn black. There's a little bit happening there. And blistering, which is releasing the skin from the inside flesh of the fruit. And after this is all charred and blackened, I'm going to put it on the cutting board and let it sit to cool a little bit. We'll make the rest of the bean dip and then I'll remove the skin. Okay, our pepper is looking great. I'm going to go ahead and sit that on the cutting board and turn off the flame. I'm going to continue with making this dip by adding some miso. And miso is very helpful with menopause symptoms. Next, some cilantro. Chopped cilantro is a wonderful herb for actually helping detoxify metal poisoning. So if you're eating a big fish like a tuna or a shark steak, put some cilantro on it. Next, garlic powder. Not garlic salt, just the garlic powder with no salt added. Garlic has quercetin. Next is a little vinegar, and I'm using rice wine vinegar. And next is some ginger. Gingers have gingerol in it, another good ingredient for menopausal symptoms. And that red pepper I did earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this red pepper that I just grilled up to get a little bit more red pepper. Okay, now I'm going to make a cut in the back of my pepper here and pull off some of this skin. After you char it, the skin just kind of lifts off. It helps if you do this underwater. I'm going to use my knife here, scrape off some of the skin. And actually some of the char is actually kind of nice. Gives it that little barbecued flavor. See, it comes right off. Cut that. Give it a couple of chops. And what I don't use, I will always use in another recipe. I'll put it in the refrigerator and have it convenient and on hand. Next, I'm going to add some tomato paste. Tomato paste, of course, is rich in lycopene, which helps with prostate cancer, and then some sesame oil. And sesame oil has lignans in it, which helps fight cancer. And this is tamari. Tamari sauce is a soy type sauce made from non-GMO soybeans, and it is very rich. It's got a lot of umami, which is that fifth flavor. And then finally, I'm going to add some onion powder. I'm going to stick the top on, give this a nice blend, nice and smooth. To make that nice and smooth. I'm going to take a quick look at that, give it a quick stir. Depending on how thick you want your dip to be, you can add a little water, or you can add some more red bell pepper. I'm going to give it one last little spin. And that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put that in a bowl and get it in the refrigerator. Now, Adzuki Bean Dip is something I like to have on hand to use for a snack with cut vegetables, or you can use sesame crackers are absolutely a great option for this dip. You can always, as usual, use a dip for a sandwich spread, or really loosen it up and put it over grilled vegetables or grilled meats. So there you have it, Adzuki Bean Dip. A favorite of mine, helps with symptoms of menopause. And next up is going to be a Tamariso Vinaigrette dressing. Now I'm going to make an orange Tamariso dressing. That is a tamarind and miso combination made into a salad dressing. You need to make your own salad dressings, in my opinion. The store-bought ones are full of GMO, soy oils, and artificial colors, and they're not hard to make at home. You can make a bunch of different flavors, put it in your refrigerator, and have them for whatever salad base you want to make. Today we're going to make again that orange tamariso salad dressing. I'm going to start out by making some orange supremes. Now, orange supremes, I often get people ask me, what is that and how do you cut it? You normally would take an orange and keep it whole and cut off around the bias close to the pith to get your whole peeled orange. I'm going to just cut that a little bit there. So there we get all that skin off. And then you cut in between. You're going to start out between the membrane of each section. So you're going to get a clean, supreme cut. I'm going to trim a little bit off here at the top. You will use these to garnish your salad, but I'm going to put about 2 ounces worth, maybe the whole orange, and use a second orange for the salad. But for the dressing, you'll need, about 1 orange. When you keep this whole, you can do this in your hand, and as you cut around, you end up eventually with just nothing but supremes, and then in your hand, empty segments. You can kind of turn your knife as you're cutting, and it'll scrape against the outer pith. Let's try the other side. Now, this is a California orange, so I can see sometimes you're not going to have beautiful sections that are symmetric. Depends on the variety of the orange. And during the different times of the years, we're going to get our oranges from California or from Florida. Cut off that pith in between the sections, and you can take a little twist of your knife and go right down to the next to the membrane. Little twist, off it goes, and you just keep turning your orange until you get done the whole thing. There we go. This one I'm going to come in from the other side. one or two last ones. Okay, so in go the oranges into a food processor. Next, I'm going to add that tamari sauce. And tamari sauce, again, is a soy sauce that is made with non-GMO soybeans, and it has that umami flavor. And umami is going to boost up the other ingredients. It just kind of makes all the other ingredients pop up, just like MSG would, but it's healthy, unlike MSG. Next, I'm going to pour in some Aja Marin, and that is a sweet cooking wine. It's Asian, and it is particularly good, I think, in coleslaws. Next is Dijon mustard. Mustard has that wonderful yellow turmeric spice that is so powerful for an antioxidant. Next is some ground pepper. Sliced scallions. Scallions are from the allium family, and they are rich in quercetin. And here's the miso. The miso is that fermented soy product that is so beneficial for helping lessen your symptoms of menopause, or at least the ones that are uncomfortable. Finally, this is some rice wine vinegar. Finally, I'm going to add canola oil. You want to make sure you get an organic canola oil that is non-GMO. I'm going to turn on the processor, and as it's running, I'm going to pour in my canola oil in a steady stream so that I emulsify the dressing. And there you have it, a Tamariso orange vinaigrette. I'm going to go ahead and pour this out in a little ramekin and show you that beautiful golden color. I love to serve this on salad greens, maybe an Asian mix or a baby spinach, and then garnish it with, in the fall, maybe persimmons, and in the summer, chopped mangoes. You can cut some wonton strips and fry them and put them on top, maybe a little scallion flour. Anyway, it's a lovely dressing, and you can keep it in your refrigerator for several days. Please make your dressings. Try not to buy so many from the store, and you'll be a lot healthier for it. We're gonna go and clean this up, and then I'll be back to make a Tempeh Curry Salad. Next up is a Tempeh Curry Salad. This is an excellent salad for helping relieve menopausal symptoms. I've asked my sister to stand in here. She's Dr. Victoria York, who is a family practitioner and a fellow in integrated medicine. We're going to explain a little bit about each of these ingredients and how they help with those menopausal symptoms. Hi, Vic.
Hi, Kel. It's so good to see you. And it's so important for this subject because for so many years we were using soy, we were using traditional estrogen for women in menopause. But ever since the Women's Health Initiative came out in 2002, it was told to all the women in this country that regular estrogen isn't good for you. It causes cancer, it can cause strokes and heart attacks. So patients would come to us and go, well, what can we do? What can we do for food? And that's why I'm talking with you today.
Yeah, one of those ingredients that are wonderful for menopause is the fermented soy products. I've got some tempeh here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, but it's a fermented soybean. They actually take the soybean and inoculate it with a culture and then ferment it and then press it together in a block. So it kind of looks like the whole grain pressed into a brick. I am going to go ahead and grate that on a cheese grater to break it up a little bit.
Yeah, and as she's doing that, a little bit about the history of it. For many, many years, they noticed that women in places like Japan, in places like South America, hardly had any hot flashes. In fact, in Japan, they don't have a word for hot flashes.
That's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in this country, people, almost all women, between 80 and 90% of women in menopause will have hot flashes. And so they started looking at, well, what is different between our food and the food in Japan? And one of the biggest things they did research on is not plain soy, but this fermented soy. And what they found out is this fermented soy has phytonutrients that have been altered when it's fermented, so it's more bioactive in our system.
Correct. And next I'm going to add some tamari sauce. And tamari sauce is very much like a soy sauce, but it's made with a non-GMO soy bean. It's delicious too. It has that umami flavor. So it's going to spike up all the other flavors of the other ingredients in the recipe.
And again, Kelly always uses everything that's non-GMO. Always talk to your grocer about that because it's very, very important.
And anything that is organic will say non-GMO on it, or it would say organic. And there's symbols. You can look them up online that are associated with those products. And you can spot them on the shelf from like 6 feet away. Next, I'm just going to add some ground black pepper and some raisins. The raisins add some sweetness to this salad. This salad is almost like a mock chicken salad. Next, I'm going to add some turmeric. And my sister and I both agree it's our most favorite spice
Absolutely.
in the drawer. It comes from a root that is very akin to a ginger root, but it's a bright yellow. And it is very, very high in antioxidants. Gosh, what else can we say about it?
Well, turmeric started thousands of years ago in a type of medicine called Ayurvedic medicine. And turmeric was used everything from cancer to heart disease to joint problems, and it's very helpful for health. And once a woman is in menopause, they have more inflammation. They have more joint pain. So this turmeric is very good for very many reasons. They also have increased risks of heart disease and increased risk of cancer. So it's very important to get this turmeric in your system.
Yes, I'm going to cut up here some celery and add that to the bowl. I like to cut it on the bias and pretty thinly sliced. Next, I'm adding walnuts. Now, walnuts are a wonderful nut, high in magnesium, omega-3s, very good in a menopause diet.
Now, one of the other neat ingredients in these nuts is something called melatonin. And when women go into menopause, one of the things that happens is they have trouble with sleep.
Yes.
And we've done studies now to show that not only does the estrogen level go low and the progesterone level goes low, but we now know that something called melatonin goes low. And melatonin is found in the brain. There's a gland called the pineal gland. One of the beautiful things about melatonin is it's a very natural way to relax and help you sleep at night. And you can buy it over the counter, but why? Why when you can get it natural?
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely. Can't concur enough. Also, melatonin is therapeutic for everybody. You don't have to be in menopause to amp up your melatonin intake. Who doesn't want to sleep better? We're all overstressed, overworked. Next is some curry powder. And the curry powder is very high in turmeric. It has a blend of spices. Each curry mix is kind of proprietary to whoever is manufacturing it. There's kind of a family recipe for every curry on the shelf. But that turmeric, again, is a superstar for anti-inflammatory.
Absolutely.
Were you going to say something?
Well, I was also going to say there's one other thing called tart cherries. And I know this is one other thing a lot of patients come to me for. They say the tart cherry juice, is this good for you? Tart cherries actually has the highest level of melatonin that there is. So tart cherries is a very good way to help get a good night's sleep, whether you're in menopause or you're stressed for any other reason.
Yeah, and tart cherry juice is actually good for helping depression.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to add some Veganase mayonnaise, which is an eggless mayonnaise, but you can use regular mayonnaise as well. I just like to use Veganase because this recipe is a great vegan recipe if you are using the Veganase. And the Veganase is also made with oils that are all non-GMO. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my apple. And one of the ways that I like to core out an apple is to use a melon baller. I'm just going to take out those seeds real quick, and now I'm ready to chop it up. And if you have a really stemmy stem, I usually cut that out with a little triangle on the end. Now I'm ready to chop. I'm going to put this whole apple in because I love apples. Oh my gosh, apples are so beneficial for so many reasons. That malic acid is one of my favorite flavors too.
And a lot of times if I have patients that have high risks of different kinds of cancers, I will recommend eating apples, but I prefer to tell them to eat the apples rather than apple juice because it has a lot of high fructose corn syrup, but rather eat the real apples. But always remember about the dirty dozen. And the dirty dozen are those fruits and vegetables that are very high in pesticides. They can cause different kinds of cancers and whatnot. And high up on the list is apples.
What? Yes, apples.
Apples is up
So
there.
you really want to look for organic apples when you buy apples. And if you can't get them, make sure you really wash off your apple. There's nothing wrong with using a little soap and water before you cut it. So in goes the apple. And next is just a little bit of red onion.
God, it smells good.
Yeah, it's those apples. They get me every time. My husband eats an apple a day, something that I taught him years ago, and it's a habit that is not hard to continue.
And maybe that's why they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Well, we also keep apples for all of our horses, so there's always plenty of apples around my house. Next, I'm going to add some coconut milk, and coconut milk is really good source of lauric acid. You can also use soy yogurt or a little sour cream, but I like using the coconut because the coconut, first of all, it lends a beautiful flavor to the salad, but it's also high in lauric acid. And guess what is high in lauric acid? Breast milk. So how can it not be healthy, you know? Finally, I'm going to add some quartered grapes.
Now, grapes are very high in resveratrol, which is a very good phytonutrient and antioxidant. So it's not only good for menopause, it's good for cancer, it's good for a lot of things, but it's actually one of the dirty dozen. So make sure if you don't...
Organic.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that also goes for the red grapes. The green grapes are not so high in resveratrol. Okay, I'm going to give that a stir and get it all well blended. Throw it in the refrigerator and come back and present all 3 plates. Here we have 3 menopause relieving dishes. I started off with making an Adzuki dip with vegetables. This is a beautiful dip for having in the refrigerator for a quick snack anytime, or if you're watching a football game, you name it. Next was the orange Tamariso dressing. I like to make that and put it over salad greens that have Swiss chard or spinach, and like to garnish it with, say, fruits in season like mangoes in the summer or persimmons in the fall, and a little bit of wontons sprinkled on, or Chinese fried noodles. And finally, we have a Tempeh Curry Salad. This is a lovely salad if you want to have something that's almost like a chicken salad. It's wonderful in a whole grain bread, especially if it has flax seeds, right?
Yes, exactly. Flaxseed has something called lignans in it. And there have been multiple studies done showing that lignans can help to reduce hot flashes. So often if a patient doesn't want to make a fancy picture beautiful menu like this, I'll tell them to take 2 teaspoons a day of flaxseed and grind it up and put it in their salads, or put it in their soup, or put it even on their meat, and that helps to reduce the hot flashes as much as 57%. I mean, that's just amazing. That's almost as good as anything else that you can have, and it's right there in your refrigerator. I mean, it's so easy to do.
Right, and flax seeds is something that you do want to buy whole so that they stay more stable in your refrigerator, and you grind them up at the last minute. So actually the freezer is another good place to store them, and then you can have them for a much longer amount of time, and you can keep those oils from going rancid on you. So flax seeds are some of our favorite seeds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and just put this on the bread here, and you can top this with all kinds of healthy toppings, like some green leaf lettuces, or sprinkle some seeds over the salad. Sliced tomatoes. Make sure you get organic vegetables though. We don't want anything on that dirty dozen.
And remember that all the time you also can utilize the anti-inflammatory diet. All of this is high in fruits and vegetables and grains. And another thing to remember with menopause is weight loss has been shown to help decrease hot flashes. Absolutely.
Yeah, so all these foods are great for those mood swings, those sleepless nights, the hot flashes, all those horribly uncomfortable conditions that you have to kind of weather through. And there you have it, 3 dishes that are great for menopause relief. I'm Chef Kelly York, and this is Therapeutic Cuisine. And as the father of medicine, Hippocrates, said, let food be thy medicine,
And let medicine be thy food.
We'll see you again soon.